So we're supposed to record a podcast today, and Landon's here against his will at the moment.
I'm not against my will. I'm happy to be here.
We're sitting here trying to come up with an intro, and he keeps getting calls and texts.
There's problems, Tim. Machines break. People are happy. People are mad.
And you're leaving as soon as you finish here to go to Raleigh for something, right?
To maybe go get a part. All right, so the election is over. It is done.
Yep. Are you pleased with the results? We're not supposed to talk about that.
We'll see. to be determined.
Yeah.
But it's funny how, so many people thought it was going in one way and so many people thought it was going in another.
It's weird. I know. It's weird how society collectively can be so far apart.
Well, we live in our own echo chambers.
Yeah.
It just seems that way.
It does.
And you just obviously think the person right beside you is doing the same thing. But I will say this. We talked to some guys up in New York. I did. And they said that they have been sitting on projects for months. Big projects, commercial projects.
Yeah.
They're just sitting and waiting.
Waiting on the election?
On the results.
Oh, wow.
He said, he was just like, I think this is what's happening. People are waiting to see, do I invest $20, $30 million into something and then it's worthless, Is
there really a result that would make him say no, though?
I don't know.
I've always found that in election time, everybody waits for the election, and then things go back to normal right after.
Everybody waits, but the same thing would happen anyway.
Yeah, everything we just carry on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that makes any difference at all.
No, I don't either.
It's funny you say that about the echo chamber thing because I did something that Troy does all the time the other day. Whenever we're on a job, Troy, he's like my foreman in my crew. He talks to the homeowners like they have the same worldview that he has.
Oh, yes.
And it's like really weird. He'll say stuff that how polarized society is. It doesn't matter which side he's on. I'm sure you can figure it out. But he'll say something and it'll be so out on that one side. And I'm just nervous.
Yeah. We live on different planes. We live in, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
It's just not only that, shoot, it's that way with, even off the election with like Troy or with other guys on the crew. Yeah. It's just this is the way it is. No, I don't see it that way at all. Or either their personalities clash and it's. But anyway, it's over.
It's over. Thankfully,
the stock market reacted.
I know. I'm glad it's done.
So something happened.
Tired of reading about it. Tired of talking about it.
Me too.
Hey, I'm Tim C.
Hey, I'm Landon Blank.
And you're listening to Hacking Concrete. Yeah! This is our last show of the year. This is the last show this year that DeWalt is sponsoring. And we're psyched that they signed back on for next year.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about three things. And
this is a little.
It's corny. An acronym.
This is a little corny for me.
3 Gs.
Is that an acronym? What is an acronym? An acronym spells something.
What is 3 Gs? When you want to list
$3,000.
Okay, that's great. All right. So the first G, 3 Gs. We're going to talk about glow, grow, and gold.
So corny, but we're going to do
glow it. is weird, but hey.
Yeah.
All right. Talk about some glowing.
My wife Annie always talks about how when we're parenting, you can't be all teaching. You got to do majority glows, majority encouragement, and then a little bit of teaching.
Okay. What you got? What's your glow of the year?
All right. My glow for the year is that the thing I'm most excited about that we're doing is that we are really insisting on systematizing everything. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
Our bid process is exactly the same. Our job process is the same. We call the guy a day before and tell him what to expect. The guys go to the job. We do the jobs. The process is always identical. We don't make any changes. We use the same brand of material. It's just the same thing over and over and over. Mm-hmm. And I finally have gotten my guys on board with that. We don't do anything different.
It only took 20 years.
It only took 20 years.
What can we do in 20 more?
Yeah. What about, and I know that seems like a minor thing, but for me though, and we'll get to my goals later, is that until we get everything systematized, I have to be there.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the long-term thing for me, is to kind of get away from having to be there all the time and I know actually exactly what's happening when I'm not there without asking.
Yes. So mine is culture. Change of culture, which I am super excited about because this can go in so many different directions. And I spoke with a guy who has offices in 2 different states. He has 500 plus employees. And he talked to me about how long it took for him to change the culture of his company. He said it took a long time to get there. Whereas we are small, we don't have anywhere near those numbers. We can kind of change it quickly if we need to. But the problem is...
It's actually been a 2-year process for you.
Okay, it has. But the problem is that when you get connected with people that do a great job for you, when I talk about culture, one thing Tim and I are big about from what we've seen, and I've dealt with this much more than Tim because I think we just live in a different structural environment.
Mm-hmm. He's commercial. I'm residential.
Right.
There's a little bit of crossover, but generally that's what it is.
So what we found is, and I hope nobody judges us for this, but what we found is when there is a guy with a drinking problem, typically other people have drinking problems.
I know. It never occurred to me.
Yeah.
Until that incident in January of 23.
Right. And it pulls those type of individuals there. Yeah. When someone has a drug problem, typically we had that years ago. Remember, there was just 2 or 3 people that we didn't even know it because we're blind to this stuff half the time.
Yeah.
You know, now you can kind of see a guy coming in the morning with a hangover or whatever. But so what that does is when he comes in like that, it just affects, he's going to be a third of himself for the day. He's got to, people aren't going to be committed to it the way they can be. Not only that, but negativity.
Yeah.
When you bring negativity onto a job, into a crew, it is like a cancer.
It really is. Yeah.
And so I think we are so blessed right now to have the type of people that are just, they're just happy to be there. Mm-hmm. And even if they're not happy to be there, they're not complaining.
Right.
One complainer, you got to think to this morning, 3 people drove an hour and 45 minutes in a truck.
Goodness.
Can you imagine the amount of negative talk that could have happened in an hour and 45 minutes? They get to the job, not, their work ethic is not going to be there because it's so important just to, but finding those type of people are hard.
It is. Yep.
And I hate hiring because of that reason.
I know, because you need the help, but you also don't want to have change of the dynamic.
Right. And you don't want to bring the wrong person in that you don't know it. So
what is that saying? One bad apple?
One bad apple.
Is that true?
I definitely think so.
I mean, like for apples.
What's the saying?
Does one bad apple ruin the whole bunch?
How would that happen?
Do you know? Can you Google that? We'll let you know in a minute. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's hard to navigate hiring for that. That's like the number one thing, right? Is you don't want to screw up the dynamic.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's something trivial to even think about. Maybe you just need to, I don't know. But to me, I'm super excited about that because I feel like it's getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. What was did you look it up? Yeah. Is it true that one bad apple can spoil the bunch, making the rest of the group spoiled as well? So we don't, that doesn't sound like fact. That doesn't sound like scientific data.
It's fake news.
All right. Well,
so that's my thing that I'm pretty excited about. Yeah. And the problem is to be able to have patience and not get in a rush to know when you need somebody. Because we're losing a great guy to the United States Army.
Who?
Josh.
Oh, shoot. That's right. I forgot about that.
And
terrible.
I'm super happy for him.
Yeah.
But he is such a good guy. He's a good leader. And he needs to be replaced.
Man. When's he leaving?
2 weeks.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm. Good thing we're coming into a dead season, but the problem is it's not a dead season at all anymore.
We were just talking about this at lunch. Yeah, we were just talking about this at lunch, and it has nothing to do with the election. No. But Landon is just like full steam ahead right now for some reason.
Strange.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my glow, kind of.
So what are you going to do now to grow from there?
All right, I'll start with that. I mean, to grow, there are things we need to improve on in a big way. And this is something that you've always been really good at this. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just the chaos of a finished job. We need to really get good at that better.
What do you mean?
Well, what happens is it's a very labor intensive process. Mm-hmm. And when everybody's done with the job, they open up the trailer door and chuck everything in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By doing that, we lose cup wheels, we lose diamonds, which is in essence loses time, not only money, but time, which is money. It's just everything needing to be in the place, ready to go for the next day. Trash gone, all that. Yeah. And we have got to improve on that.
Yeah, I could improve on that too. I noticed the other day when we put the grinder in the van, that some of the diamonds fell off and the guys didn't really do anything. They just left them laying there.
Right. Just leave.
It's like, I mean, they're in the van, but that just means next time we're gonna have to dig in there and find them.
Or they open up the door and one falls out. You don't even know it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you cannot run the job over one stupid $50 diamond. We got to get better on that. If we don't get better on that, it's going to be tough to continue to grow.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of that.
It's hard on y'all's jobs because you're in such a rush all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not that y'all are in a rush. You're being rushed all the time. I should say that y'all are in a rush.
Mm-hmm.
You're being rushed all the time. So your guys have a pace at which that they are used to working because they're being rushed all the time.
There you go.
So like it's kind of weird for you to tell them that, hey guys, like stop going so fast and get this, get this perfect.
Well, we never get off at like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's never an early day. It's 55-hour work weeks.
So I guess for me, the thing that I would want to grow on is going to be I have it written niche down. Alex Hermosi, do you know that guy?
Yes.
He
Just
always,
listen to him today.
he's kind of dorky, but his like saying is that riches are in the niches. Have you heard him say that?
Yes.
He's always talking about niching down and only trying to and basically what he means by that is that you want to do like the tiniest little small thing in your business. You don't want to do like, I read this book called Built to Sell, and it was about a graphic designer, and he was like doing websites, and then he was also doing mailers for people, and he was doing billboards and all this stuff. And he had someone advising him, telling him that no, you should stop all that and just do logos. And throughout the course of that book, it talks about how his business exponentially grew because he became the logo guy. And he went from charging a couple $100 an hour to, because he was the logo guy, charging $10,000 per logo.
Wow.
And then because he only did that one thing, he was able to hire multiple people that he was able to teach to do that one thing. And then now he has 5 guys doing $10,000 logos, and it grows from there. And that's what that book's about. It's a great book. And I always have thought about that and how that applies to me. And I think for me that's just going to mean taking on less stuff. Because, one week we do garage floors, and the next week we do a concrete overlay on somebody's patio. And then the next week we pour concrete for somebody. So the van needs to stay set up how it is all the time. Like that's how we're going to be the most efficient.
Right.
And for example, we did a concrete overlay the other day. We took all the epoxy stuff out of the van, and we go to do a garage floor, and a grinder that we use, a hand grinder we use, was missing. Side note, we bought this grinder. We got this grinder from DeWalt that has, have you seen it? It has a dust shroud on it, and it has a cutting blade on it. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So we've been chalking a line on the edge of the garage door, and then we cut a line, and it's completely dust free, and it rolls and cuts a perfectly straight line. And that's where we start and stop our floor now.
That's essentially a keyway. So you haven't been doing that.
No, I haven't been doing that before. But it's been bugging me how our edges have not been really clean.
Right. That's great.
So a few months ago, we started doing this. So especially because it's the battery powered grinder, and it's dust free, and you just zip a line there real quick, and you have a definite start and stop point, and it's awesome.
Right, that's good.
So, and going back to my whole systems thing, that's what we do now under garage doors. I don't like to bring the epoxy outside the garage door. I like for it to be inside. So when the door's down, you don't see the flake floor.
And that simple thing too could separate you from
other people. A lot of companies are like, they'll talk to the homeowner and be like, well, take it outside of the door to where the concrete stops.
Which, by the way,
it just looks so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
You don't run carpet out of your living room to the front of your entrance and the door.
Really dumb. Yeah. It's really, really dumb.
Doesn't make sense.
No. So that's just part of our systems. That's what we're doing now. And, but that wasn't in the van. And it was just like the most obnoxious thing to me that we had switched out to concrete and didn't have this one tool.
Yeah.
And so I drive back to the shop to get it, then drive back to the job, and it's just the whole thing. Anyways, that's kind of part of the whole niche down thing. That's kind of what I meant by like when you switch, it just slows everything down.
It does. Exactly.
So we're trying to be better and just do less stuff, more of less stuff. That type of like changing what you do every week is going to require me to be there every single week. Like, I don't know that we can ever, I guess it's possible, might be possible to hire somebody that could do it, but it seems like a pretty tall order to expect them to be able to switch like that.
And again, our challenge with that is we don't live in a population density, area. So we have to diversify a little bit.
That's true. I mean,
It's tough.
it is really tough. I talk to other garage floor people all the time who do just garage floors, like Blake at Vault Coatings. He's doing like 7 or 8 estimates every day for garage floors, and he's selling for 2 or 3 crews right now. And I don't know that is physically possible in Lynchburg, like our little town that we live in. I'm not sure that that's possible to do that. It's fine of a niche, but I do think that we can niche down to just concrete coatings so that it's just simpler. We don't have to change out the van. Because, when we switch from from coatings to overlays, that means all the stuff in the van's got to come out. We got to put new stuff in.
That's right.
So I'm just trying to get one setup in the van. I think that will be enough for us.
So, you know what? I'm just going to say this. This is because this is fascinating me. Andrew, what's his last name? Hermosi.
Yeah.
He said something the other day, and I heard a guy and I heard an old guy that ran a company say this. And I think the question was, what would you do to take down a company? And he said, if your company was to fail, what's going on right now that you could just see it headlining right there to it?
Okay.
Figure out what someone else would do to see a failing company to get into it, and just what would you do right now to take down someone else's company? Well, I would probably work on them not answering calls, them not getting back to these people. Make sure that their employees were not happy. Make sure this and that, and then you take that outlook, and then you look at your own company.
Oh, I see.
And
that
you
makes
say,
sense.
Wow, when you look at it from that angle,
yeah,
you can see right away what you need to do.
Yeah,
if you're honest with yourself. Anyway, I thought that was fun. And then the third thing we have is goals. That's the third G. For me, I'll start, because I've never done this. You have talked about it a lot. Is choose the right projects. When you're not niched down, I would say I'm not niched down like the potential of you want to be. Choosing the right projects, it needs to be more of a forefront.
It does.
Because if not, you're just drug. You feel like you're getting pulled every different direction. And what's challenging is some of these projects are for people we've worked with for years and years and years. So it's almost like we have to do those.
It feels like we have to do them. It does. Yeah. For example, he's doing one where you're doing one coming up where it's an epoxy flake floor in one section. The other section is urethane cement. So while that technically is concrete coatings, it takes different equipment and more people and different.
It's essentially 2 different jobs in the same
It's essentially
site.
2 different jobs. Right. Yeah. That's just going to be so slow for y'all to do that, to try to jump and do those at the same time.
That's one thing I'm working on. And I kind of just kept writing here. I was like, it needs to be okay to say no. And another thing we need to do is, this goes back to the culture thing, is we need to do like a minimal of team meetings twice a month, because I think it's important. I meet with the guys running crews constantly, but it's so important for everyone to feel like they need to be heard.
I think it is too, yeah.
Or to give an idea that they might have. I mean,
did you read that Ford book, American Icon? Andy Mullally, is that his name? The CEO who brought Ford back after all those companies were going bankrupt. Ford was the one that didn't go bankrupt.
Right.
He says that what saved his company is that he did weekly Monday morning meetings. That's what he credits to the whole thing, to what saved Ford.
Yeah, and I just think it needs to be minimal twice a month. Listen to the lowest person on the scale of leadership and listen to the highest, and be humble along that process and realize that I fail plenty and I need to understand where we are failing.
Yeah, definitely.
Or doing good at.
I guess my goal is to come up with more time for me, because I kind of I run the coating crew, but I also kind of run an advertising agency for us and for my brother's Southern Porch Company business and for my father-in-law's business. I help them, and I juggle all these things.
And the courses.
And yeah, I'm the accountant for all the businesses, and then I make courses that teach people to do what we do. So my goal is to have more time so I can not feel like all that stuff's on the back burner, because it constantly for me feels like I'm like chasing. Well, the accounting stuff's on the back burner. I love doing the courses. I make time for that. The accounting stuff I get behind on. It's just not good. It's not good for me to feel like I'm hurried in all 3 aspects of the things that I do all the time.
It's not. It weighs you down.
It does. Yeah. So my goal is to make more time for the courses by doing the stuff I said already, which is, systems and niching down. You actually did one with me the other day. I really enjoy doing the group calls, helping.
Oh, I did too.
People who join our courses. We'll do group Zoom calls periodically, and it's a lot of fun to talk to somebody who is brand new in the business and to hear like the stuff they're going through and to try to help them, because when we first started, we had a few mentor type people that we would call, but we always felt kind of bad about it calling them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I like for us that we're providing this thing for these people that where they don't have to like feel bad that they're asking for advice, and they can just get on there and say anything, ask anything. And we have, 25 years of struggling along. Most of the things they ask, we've been through.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's just fun to be able to help people. It's probably the most gratifying thing that we do.
Yeah, I love it.
That's what I want to do, is transition more out of the having to be on the job site. That's the thing though, is I really like being on the job site. Our industry is weird because we mentioned this in the last podcast. There's like a section of people in our industry who are business owners and they're trying to grow their business. And there's another section of people who call themselves artisans, which is, I hate that word, but they call themselves artisans. They think that they are, they call what they do artwork. So they're doing what we do because they love doing it.
That's completely fine.
And we have that in us too. Like we love doing it too.
Yeah.
But I just have to get away from that to be able to make time for these other things. And that's going to mean, for you and for me, is going to mean us stop taking the complex things and do the jobs that fit in our niche, our plan that we've decided that we're going to do.
Like what we talked about earlier, like a 2,000 square foot stencil.
Yes.
That was...
we shouldn't be doing
triangles.
2,000 square foot stencils. No.
But I like it. It's good for us to talk through these things, to share our successes, know where we're doing wrong, and know where we want to go. Now we got to implement them.
Yeah.
But I liked what you did better because I felt like you know that it's through the niches that you can accomplish the goals.
Yeah.
Whereas the things I want to do is just going to take sheer, like, and it's going to take that with you too, but it needs to be like, boom, we are doing this.
Yeah.
We're not getting in a rush. We're talking this out.
I didn't realize this when I wrote this down, but like you have to do the glow, the systems. You have to do that to niche down. You have to but I can't do the goal without doing the first two things. That's it for us for the year. Any final words?
See you at WAC.
Are you going? Should we go?
We're going.
The
the hotel room's already set.
Oh, is it? That's fine. There's a new thing on our podcast description, a thing where you can text us. It's the first line of the description. So it's not on YouTube, but it's on the audio ones. So click that button and let us know if you're going to Water Concrete. Maybe we can organize a get together.
Let's do it. Be great.
See you next year.